Have you ever just stopped and thought, wow, the pace of technology, it just feels like it's speeding up. Like every single year, it's not just about, the new phone or the latest app. These changes, they're fundamentally reshaping things, big things, critical parts of society, even in places you might not think about right away. So today, we're going to peel back the layers on exactly that. We're looking at how cutting edge tech isn't just like happening, but how it's being actively planned for, identified, and integrated into something as critical as border security. And we're not talking science fiction here. This is stuff being written into law right now. Our sources for this deep dive, they're excerpts from a really fascinating piece of legislation, the Emerging Innovative Border Technologies Act, H.R.993. Just passed the House, now it's with the Senate.
Right.
So our mission today, let's unpack this bill, break down the jargon. What does it really mean for border operations, for the tech industry, maybe even for our own communities?
Yeah, and what's really striking, I think, is not just the tech itself, but how fast policy is trying to catch up with innovation. It feels different. For a long time, government agencies often seemed like they were, playing catch-up, reacting. But this bill, it signals something more proactive, almost urgent, really. A push to get these advanced solutions right into the core strategy for border management. It really highlights both how complex border challenges are now and the massive opportunities tech offers.
Okay, so let's dig into this then. H.R. 993. What's the core requirement? You said it's not just a suggestion.
Oh, no, definitely not. It mandates, that's the key word, it mandates that the Secretary of Homeland Security develops a comprehensive plan.
Mandates. That feels pretty significant, doesn't it? Like non-negotiable.
It absolutely is. It signals intent. This is a priority, period. And the bill is crystal clear on who owns this. It's a joint effort, led by the Commissioner of U.S. Customs and Border Protection, CBP, working hand in glove with the Undersecretary for Science and Technology at DHS.
Okay, so operational folks and the tech strategy folks together.
Exactly. You get that real-world experience informing the science and tech side.
And the why here. It isn't just about getting cool new gadgets, right? I read it's about fixing specific current problems. Can you elaborate on that?
That's spot on, and it's a really critical point. The bill explicitly says the goal is to identify, integrate, and deploy. Here's the quote, new, innovative, disruptive, or other emerging or advanced technologies. But why? To enhance or address existing capability gaps in border security.
Capability gaps, so like blind spots, things they can't do well now.
Precisely. So maybe CBP struggles with detecting small, fast drones in remote areas. Or they need to speed up cargo checks without gumming up trade. The plan is supposed to find tech that directly solves those specific problems.
Yeah.
It's very much problem-driven innovation.
Which usually leads to better results, I guess.
Generally, yeah. More effective, more targeted.
And you mentioned urgency. There's a real time crunch here too, isn't there?
Oh yeah. This plan isn't something they can mull over for years. The bill demands it be submitted to Congress within 180 days of the act being signed into law.
180 days. Wow, that sounds incredibly fast for something this big. Is that normal for this kind of thing?
It's ambitious.
Yeah.
Definitely ambitious. It just underlines how high a priority this tech modernization is. Strategic plans can often take years, a 180-day deadline. That signals Congress wants action, a clear roadmap, not just vague promises about innovation. It forces them to be focused right from the start.
Yeah, no kidding. What also struck me reading through it was the level of detail. It's not just make a plan, it says what has to be in the plan. It feels like a rare peek behind the curtain, into how these agencies are actually thinking strategically about tech.
It really does. And one of the key things that jumps out is the focus on these CBP Innovation Teams.
Right, the innovation teams. What's their main job?
Their core purpose is basically to research and adapt commercial tech for border security uses. Find stuff that's already out there and see if it fits. But this is really important. They're also explicitly tasked with assessing potential outcomes, including any negative consequences.
Negative consequences. Okay, that's interesting. So they have to think about the downsides too.
Exactly. It's a built-in recognition that new tech isn't always perfect. It can have unforeseen impacts, maybe on privacy, maybe on communities. And they need to think about that up front.
That feels like a really critical detail, a more holistic view. And the bill digs into how these teams should work too, right? Like structure and reporting.
Precisely. It gets quite specific. They need clear operating procedures, strategic goals. They need to project costs, set timeframes, figure out performance metrics.
Okay.
And it's not just internal stuff. They have to report annually. On what exactly?
On their activities, which technologies actually worked, which didn't, and crucially, how the successful ones are being transitioned into what they call programs of record. Programs of record, meaning
Essentially making them official, long-term parts of how CBP operates, not just pilot projects that fizzle out.
got it. So it's about standardizing and scaling up the good ideas.
Exactly. It demands follow-through, long-term integration.
The plan also seems to really push for collaboration, making sure CBP coordinates with the DHS Science and Technology Directorate to avoid, reinventing the wheel internally.
Yeah, avoiding those internal silos is huge. Leveraging the broader government R&D muscle makes sense. And this collaboration extends outwards, too. This is where it gets really interesting for people outside government.
How so?
The bill puts a unique emphasis on incentivizing and collaborating with the private sector. We're talking small businesses, universities, federal labs.
So actively inviting outsiders in.
Yes. The goal is to tap into the speed and creativity that's out there. Find innovators who can develop tech to meet CBP's specific mission needs.
That sounds like a big opportunity for tech companies, especially startups, maybe.
Huge opportunity. The government is basically putting up a flag saying, we need your solutions for these tough problems. It raises that question, though. How does government effectively work with fast-moving private industry? That's always a challenge.
And practically speaking, how do they even buy all this new tech? The bill mentions needing to look at procurement rules.
Yes, the plan has to include an analysis of procurement authorities.
Yeah.
Basically, how is CBP legally allowed to buy this advanced stuff?
Right.
Do the current rules work for, say, buying experimental AI software or leasing drones? Or do they need new, more flexible rules?
That sounds kind of bureaucratic, but I guess it's essential.
Yeah, absolutely essential. You can have the best tech in the world, but if you can't actually buy it efficiently, it gets stuck.
No.
This part aims to grease the wheels, basically. Make it easier to acquire cutting-edge solutions without getting bogged down in red tape.
You know, what I found really fascinating in the bill was the list of specific technologies they mentioned. It wasn't just vague new tech. It's like a shopping list from the future.
It really is specific, isn't it? It shows they've been thinking hard about what kind of innovation they need. Let's break some of that down.
First up, artificial intelligence, AI, and machine learning, ML.
Okay, AI and ML. How would that work at the border?
Think advanced pattern recognition. Analyzing huge amounts of data, maybe from sensors, maybe from cameras, looking for anomalies, things that don't fit, or potentially predicting trends in illegal crossings or smuggling based on past data. The machine learning part means the systems could get smarter, better at spotting things over time, maybe things humans would miss.
Interesting. Okay, what else?
Then there's automation. This is pretty broad. Could be robotics helping inspect trucks or cargo. Could be automated surveillance towers that scan areas without needing someone constantly watching the screen.
Right, freeing up personnel for other tasks.
Exactly. Making things more efficient, letting people focus on the complex stuff.
The bill mentioned advanced sensing, too. That sounded really high-tech. Oh, yeah. Some cool examples there, like fiber optic sensing. Imagine embedding fibers along a border fence that can detect tiny vibrations or disturbances if someone tries to climb or cut it.
Wow. Okay.
Nanotechnology. This opens doors for super tiny, super sensitive sensors, maybe integrated into uniforms or vehicles or deployed discreetly. The possibilities are kind of mind-bending.
And then there was stuff about radar.
Right. Not just any radar. Optical and cognitive radar. These are more advanced systems designed not just to detect an object, but maybe to understand more about what it is, moving beyond just a blip on a screen.
Cognitive radar. Sounds smart.
It's meant to be.
Yeah.
And then maybe the most intriguing ones, hyperspectral and LiDAR sensors.
Okay, break those down for me. LiDAR I've heard of, like in self-driving cars.
Exactly. LiDAR uses laser pulses to measure distances and create incredibly precise 3D maps. Imagine mapping terrain down to the millimeter. You could spot subtle ground disturbances that might indicate a tunnel, or just get hyper-detailed maps of remote areas.
Okay, that's powerful. And hyperspectral.
Hyperspectral imaging captures light across many more wavelengths than our eyes or standard cameras. It can see the invisible, in a way. It might be able to detect specific materials, disturbed soil, camouflaged objects, things that look normal otherwise. Extremely detailed environmental data.
Got it. So sensing tech is a huge focus. What else?
The bill also mentions imaging, identification, and categorization systems. This is about quickly processing visual info, identifying people, vehicles, types of cargo much faster and maybe more accurately than humans alone.
Right, speeding things up. Okay, besides those big categories.
Yeah, the list keeps going. Manned aircraft sensors and communications, basically upgrading what pilots can see and report. And of course, unmanned aerial systems, UAS drones. But importantly, also counter-UAS tech.
Ah, stopping the other guy's drones.
Exactly. They need to use drones, but also defend against unauthorized ones. It's a two-sided coin.
Makes sense. And what about ground surveillance?
Lots there too. Mobile surveillance vehicles packed with cameras and sensors, tower-based systems, and even lighter-than-air ground surveillance.
Lighter than air, like blimps.
Basically, yeah. Think blimps or aerosats. They can stay up high for a long time, providing a persistent wide view of an area.
Okay, that's quite a range. Then there was this really unusual one, non-intrusive inspection technology, something about muons.
Muon tomography. Yes, this one is fascinating. Muons are natural cosmic ray particles constantly showering the Earth. Muon tomography uses detectors to track how these particles pass through or get absorbed by large objects, like shipping containers or trucks.
And that tells you what's inside without X-rays.
It can help detect dense materials like nuclear materials or maybe hidden compartments without having to unpack everything. It's non-X-ray, potentially faster for really big stuff.
Wow, that's some serious science.
It really is. The bill also calls out tunnel detection technology, still a big challenge, needs more innovation. And finally, underpinning all of this, communications equipment. Better radios, high-speed LTE broadband, even miniature satellites for connectivity way out in remote spots.
So it's a massive tech wish list, basically.
It is. But connecting it back to the real world, it's crucial that the plan must include that assessment of the privacy and security impact on border communities.
Right, you mentioned that earlier, the negative consequences part.
Exactly. This isn't just about deploying tech in a vacuum. It acknowledges these tools operate where people live. So there's this explicit requirement to consider civil liberties, community impact. It's trying to strike a balance. That's a really important check.
Yeah, that balance feels key. And practically, financially, the plan also has to look at older tech, things that might get replaced.
Yes. Assess legacy border technology programs. Figure out what's outdated, what could be phased out, probably replaced by newer, better stuff.
Yeah.
And estimate the costs.
So it's optimization too, not just adding more, potentially saving money or just being more efficient.
Hopefully both. And to make sure it all works, the bill demands metrics, key performance parameters. They need ways to measure if these tech investments are actually effective.
Accountability shows the results.
Precisely. Are we actually improving security? Are we addressing those capability gaps we started with? It's not just about spending money, it's about getting results.
So wrapping this up, what does this all mean for you listening right now? Whether you're deep in the tech world or just interested in policy, this bill, H.R.993, it really signals a major shift, a very deliberate, technologically driven approach to border security. It could have huge implications for national security, obviously, but also massive opportunities for the tech sector, those creating these AI, sensor, or drone solutions. And yeah, it's definitely going to impact the daily lives of people in border regions, new surveillance, new inspection methods. It's a big change. It really shows how government is trying to grapple with and leverage this incredibly fast-paced technological landscape. I mean, from mandating AI integration to using cosmic rays for inspections. This bill is sketching out a pretty futuristic vision for the border. The scale of the ambition is pretty clear.
It really is.
Yeah.
And I think the core challenge moving forward isn't just developing these amazing technologies, it's truly understanding their full impact. Societal, ethical, practical, and making sure they're rolled out responsibly, effectively, that constant balancing act.
Exactly. It makes you think, doesn't it? How fast tech moves from labs to laws now, and what other parts of government, or even our daily lives, might be next in line for this kind of deep technological dive. Something to mull over. Thanks for joining us on the Deep Dive.